Hi, welcome back. I am just getting ready for the day and I wanted to run you through kind of the routine I have been following. If you've been noticing, I've been doing a little bit more coverage than what I would generally do on my channel in regards to my looks. Oftentimes I leave a lot of my skin peeking through, and that's kind of it's still in that realm. Like, you can still see some of my skin peeking through, but I'm definitely doing a bit more coverage. So I want to run you through this routine that I've been doing that provides coverage, but still looks fresh, still looks natural, still doesn't look like a ton of makeup. You get what I'm trying to express right now? A lot of you all actually wanted to see the NARS Soft Matte Complete Foundation a little bit more in action. I talked about this in the Sephora recommendations video. This is definitely the one I've been reaching for the extra coverage. If I want a little bit more of just like a medium natural coverage, I'll use the Physicians Formula Silk Elixir. Those have kind of been my two like swap outs, and a lot of days I haven't even been wearing makeup because I'm just trying to let my skin cool down a bit. So I just have a little bit on the back of my hand, and a little of this goes a long way. Normally I would not be into matte foundations. Normally anything with matte in the name I'm just not super crazy about. But it's like I mentioned in my previous video, there's something about this formula that just looks so, it doesn't even really look matte to me. It's just very soft looking. I think there's a fine line between looking super, super flat and then just like soft. This looks soft. This looks natural. Even when I look at my face like close up in the mirror, it almost looks like I'm wearing nothing, but it's obviously a little is covering a lot. So that's what I really appreciate about this formula. It can provide you coverage, but still look super natural. I also had some people concerned in my last video asking how I thought this would do for people who have extremely dry skin. If you are someone that has patches, if you are someone that has, those dry, flaky areas, I do think this foundation will probably enhance that. For the cases like that, and I have been down that road several times. Most of the lifetime on my channel, I've had very dry, flaky skin. Right now, it's just like, I don't even need to talk about my skin. It's in a very weird place. But there have been a few days where I've been using azelaic acid and I get a little dry around my chin. It's definitely going to pick up on that, but honestly, any foundation, anything you put on top of dry, flaky patches, at least by the end of the day, it's going to be noticeable. So yes, to answer your question, if I were struggling with, extremely dry, patchy skin, I would definitely opt for something like my Complexion Rescue. I would probably go for something like Neutrogena Hydro Boost Skin Tint. Those don't necessarily offer the coverage that this NARS one does, but when you have skin that's super dry like that, that's not generally or always what you're looking for. I just cannot believe how good this looks. It looks so skin-like, so smooth. I'm so happy when I put this on. I love the way it looks. And also, don't you love when you get a color that just, I think I talked about this recently, but when you get a color foundation that just literally matches you perfectly, that's what this bad boy is for me. And the shade is Salzburg Light 3.5. So a lot of days I won't even set this foundation because it is not necessary on my skin. Right now I'm just kind of in that like normal state. If you're oily, if you're a combination, probably always just a safe bet to go ahead and set a little bit. But I am going to use a powder bronzer today, which again, a little bit straying from the course for me. But I'm going to talk about how I kind of counterbalance the powders that I'm using. So I am setting just slightly. I'm going to take a little bit. Y'all are going to be moved. You're going to be shocked when you see the powder I'm using. We have the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Airbrush powder. Now, if you are anywhere familiar with my love of Charlotte Tilbury, you know that there are very few products from her that I don't like. And for years, this powder has been on that list. And for years, several of you all have been telling me, you're using the wrong shade. You need to get the fair shade. trust me, it'll change your life. So for years, I've just been using the shade number 2. I've tried it multiple times. I've purchased it multiple times, just wondering like, why doesn't this look good on me? And finally I took your advice and I purchased the shade number 1. And you were right. My skin looks 1,000 times better than what it did when I was using shade number 2. You still can get a little crazy with this. Like, it can get pretty flat, pretty matte very quickly. But if you just do like a little T-zone set, I've been pretty pleased with it. So I have given it another shot and I've been wearing it a bit more throughout the end of October. And of course now we're into November. But thank you for those of you who gave me the recommendation. So for powder bronzer, I'm going to be using also from NARS. This is the, just like their Contour Duo. And this one is in the shade Paloma. I like using this in the wintertime because you can see the tone of it is very unique. It's not super orangey. Definitely does have a bit of a red undertone to it, but it just, I just find that it sits really nicely on my fair skin. So I am just going to take a little bit of that and I'm going to use it as kind of like my bronzer. And the reason I'm using a powder is because I feel like with this foundation and by using the Charlotte Tilbury powder, it is just a little bit more like chemistry wise. They just mesh a little bit better together as opposed to what I generally would use, something really dewy. Then I'm going to go in with like a cream bronzer. You get what I'm saying? Like these three just kind of mesh well together. But don't get me wrong, I am going to top this bad boy off with a cream product, okay? Is this what they talk about when they like talk about pregnancy, like baby hairs? What is this? Like, where is this guy going? So I could very easily continue this powder fiasco, but I will not because this is kind of like the secret sauce. This is how I recommend a lot of people who have combo oily skin who can't use those dewy products that I use oftentimes. This is how I recommend getting that type of look, but still having a little bit more of a flatter base. So, of course, I love using NARS Multiples as an example. Again, this was another one people wanted to see this shade in action a little bit more. It's in the color Riviera. Personally, I like all of the multiple shades, but when you use a cream blush or a liquid blush on top of a face that is a little bit more matte, a little bit more powdered, it just kind of brings life back into the skin. It adds like this ethereal kind of skin-like finish. Generally, 9 times out of 10, no matter what base I'm gonna do, I'm probably gonna top it off with a little bit of a cream blush. And these do have a slight like hint of a glow built in. And so you just get this subtle sheen. And I just think it looks so much more natural than taking a powder blush and putting that on and then a powder highlighter. Do people, are we even still using powder highlighter these days? It's a genuine question. I don't remember the last time I used a powder highlighter. But can you see how it just, you know, just kind of peeks through a little bit? It sits very nicely on top of the powder products. I'm going to jump the gun and apply my lip color because I want to vibe off of it. You know how sometimes you just want to put on your lip color, the lips just kind of pull everything together? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use another Maybelline Lifter Gloss because I have been obsessed with these and I got a package in the mail from them with more colors. And this is one that I've been eyeing. It's the shade Ruby. So I just want a nice little pink look. I'm going to use Charlotte Tilbury's Pillow Talk, of course. Also, when I'm wearing more of a fuller face look or a fuller coverage foundation, oftentimes I'll skip out on the lipstick and I'll just wear a gloss. I think it just presents itself a little bit more naturally, gives that fresh kind of youthful appearance. So I'm just very lightly gonna line my lips. Nice fresh base going on. Just swept a little bit of e.l.f. Wow Brow on my brows, nothing crazy. And we're gonna move on to the eyes, which are gonna be very simple, very nice, very everyday appropriate. I had a lot of people that were confused in my Caviar stick video where I talked about how I oftentimes used Cocoa, Laura Mercier's Caviar stick in Cocoa, as just like a one shade all over eye look type deal. Basically how I used it by itself. And I know I've done a video on that. I'll try to find it and link it down below. I'm basically going to do the same thing today, but I am going to top it off with a little bit of a Bare Minerals loose eyeshadow. This one is in Precious. I don't think they still make this, but you could use something like Queen Phyllis. I'm pretty sure they still make that one. So basically, I kind of just use cocoa as a liner. I mean, I start out just applying it to my lash line and then I smudge it out and I just get this kind of like hazy defined look. I will slightly bring it like on my inner corner. Basically what I want it to do is like fade, be like very, very light here, and then kind of intensify in this outer part. And so this is how I'll do like a super quick everyday eye look. And what I love about this is I could literally just copycat with this eye and kind of leave these two like super sheer kind of quick hazy wash of brown, and that's how I would just do a really fast quick eye look basically. But I am going to add a little bit more to it. So anyways, what I love about this Caviar stick is I can build it up, I can wear it down, I can just use it as an eyeliner if I wanted to. I can do so many different things with it, and that's why I love it so much. I am going to build it up a little bit more today though, I think. So basically this is how I would wear cocoa by itself. Like this would be a traditional everyday just quick eye look. I do want to further show that yes, you can add powder shadow on top. It just, for me, it's not necessary. Like I don't find it to be necessary at all for my daily looks, but I am going to take a little bit of, this is Bamboo from MAC. I'm going to pop that in my crease, and then I'm going to take a little bit of, I think the shade is called Mocha Minded. It's just a brown. It looks identical to cocoa. So I am going to kind of play around with those, just add a little bit into the crease, and you can see that powder shadows, they layer fine on top of the Caviar sticks. But the whole point of Caviar sticks, in my opinion, is to get away from the powders. Just simplify it, tone it down a bit. But I do understand for those of you who have oilier eyelids, using something like this will help set the creams in place. Because if you do have a bit more of an oily lid, then the Caviar stick will definitely come off quicker. So I'm just taking that brown and I'm kind of just following like the same pattern. All right, I'm just gonna top my eyes with a little bit of Precious from Bare Minerals. Any type of reflective loose pigment will work for this though. The bodyography ones that I use often, those would be a good option. I'm literally just going to press this in. It's just gonna add like a really nice sheen over the top. You could also use, if you have lighter Caviar sticks, and Moonlight, and Sugar Frost, anything lighter that you have in your collection and reflective. Just popping that on over the top. And for mascara, I'm using Charlotte Tilbury's Legendary Lashes, Volume 2. Okay, this is it. I'm covered, but I feel fresh and I don't feel overdone. So that's the vibe that I was going for today. I have an appointment in 5 minutes. I lost track of time, but I hope you enjoyed seeing some of these products I've been talking about a little bit more in action. Also, overall, the look as a whole. You know me, nothing too spicy, but still looking good. That should be my catchphrase from now on. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the look, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.